Hi, welcome to the Green Room. I'm Radiant Prime. Thank you for joining me. Today, I want to talk about a subject that I'm a little nervous to talk about, actually. And it's something that I've been guilty of myself at times, many times within squadrons, but I wanted to address how negative some people are being about the game. And I think this is for many reasons, and I understand it, I think is the first and most important thing to say. I completely get it. I've had, my own experiences with the game that I wish were different. I've had interactions with the community that I wish were different, but they haven't been, and that's how it's been. But I think what we can all do is kind of reevaluate moving forwards and try and avoid some of the common traps that I think have sprung up in the community and the way we can end up interacting. So, firstly, um, there's this point about the game doesn't feel like Star Wars to me. With all the pinballing, multi drifting, exploiting, hacking, if you want to call it that, some people say all this stuff, it doesn't make it feel like Star Wars to me. And I think that's largely a thing about the movement, and secondly, about perhaps the morality of how they see that. But quite often that argument gets tied into another one, which is why should I have to learn all these things in order to play the game? Well, you don't have to learn those things in order to play the game. That's the first thing. You don't have to learn them at all. You probably do need to learn a lot of them, or at least understand them and how to deal with them if you want to be very good at the game. And I think because of the size of the community, that thing of being very good at the game gets amplified because it's very easy for someone who is even, in the medium tier of the game to end up against the Randalorians or Splinter or someone who is, you know, starting to earn money for playing the game. And there are very, very few teams who are doing that right now. But there are teams out there, and you can come up against them in ranked fleet battle really, really easily. So I think that amplifies that issue. But back to the thing of this doesn't feel like Star Wars. I understand that entirely. Like everyone has their own headcanon, their own picture in their head of what Star Wars looks like. And obviously that's going to be greatly influenced by the different movies and kind of when you grow up and the books and the other video games and all those things play a part in building each of our own picture of what Star Wars is. It's something I've had to deal with myself. I've been a long, long time Star Wars fan. I read pretty much the entire extended universe. I've got the first editions of books from the extended universe that I've had forever. Um, and I love Star Wars. But there have been certain times where I see something happen in the game or I learn about a new trick or a new exploit, if you want to call it that, and I'm like, well, that doesn't seem very Star Wars. Like the drifting for me was a big thing, actually, when I saw the first trailers for like The Force Awakens. Like the Millennium Falcon does this massive drift, I believe, in that trailer. I'm like, that doesn't seem right. But you have to adjust and move on, especially if you want to be like at the top of the game at the moment. And that's a big thing for me that I've had to adjust to. And I've come to understand that if you want to be good at something in life, you have to learn, and you have to learn a huge, huge amount. Um, if you want to be a real pilot, God, you have to be an engineer as well, pretty much. You have to learn all kinds of things about um, engineering and aerodynamics and uh, extremely complicated maths. You don't get anything in life for free. And if you do want to be, so we finished top 16 in a few tournaments, that pretty much means you are, in the top 100 players competing in the game in that way, I guess. Um, you're doing okay. But even so, like I come up against, other players who are miles better than me, miles better than me, and we come up against other teams that are miles better than us all the time. And that skill gap, even between the amount of hours you have to put in to be in the top two teams as opposed to the top 16 is a ginormous gulf that I can't well describe, but it's definitely there. Um, when you come up against teams like us, maybe in ranked fleet battle, and we just appear to go straight through you, Randall Orange and Splinter do that to us on a regular basis. And one of the big things that you struggle with when that happens is you don't always understand exactly why you lost. And that can be very, very frustrating. And it means that you pick things out. You're like, they were doing this or they were doing that, and it was a bug or they were exploiting. And I know why your mind tends to go there. I've done it myself. But really, the reality is your brain is like, these guys were so much better than me that I don't know what I did wrong. And I like having something that I know I did wrong to point to, that I can fix and improve, so that maybe I can win next time. And when you don't get that feedback, your brain is unhappy with that situation, right? And you have to deal with it. Um, I'd also say, like, a lot of people say that the difficulty in the game, they don't want to have to learn all these different systems. It's too difficult. It's too much. They don't want to have to learn all these different systems just to be good at the game. I kind of disagree with that. People say that will drive the community away. I think it will build a community over time. I think you only have to look at, I mean, a great recent example is the trend of like Dark Souls-like games. The big one being Fallen Order, which is not as difficult, I think, as Dark Souls, but is a very difficult game by the standards of previous, especially Star Wars games. It was incredibly difficult. But to me, that just added to it. That need to learn something gave me more from the game in return, I think. And I know that's not for everyone. And that's kind of my next point. It's okay not to enjoy it. It's okay for it not to fit your headcanon. It's okay to not want to partake in those systems and in that play. But what I would ask is either reach a point where you're okay with that and move on and take it, as a loss perhaps, or try and find a way to deal with it and make it fit your headcanon. Try and enjoy it, and you might just get it to stick over time. But it might just not be for you, and that's perfectly all right. But the thing I try to resist is to point at other people who I know are putting a tremendous amount of time, work, and effort into the game. People running tournaments, people making content, people just playing the game, at all levels, are putting their heart and soul into this game because they love the experience. And there's nothing wrong with that. You can. It's okay not to enjoy the game, but to support those people as well, and not to be down on those people just because they're enjoying it. Um, I guess some of this might be controversial, or some people might think that I'm being patronizing or unhelpful. But really, this is the complete opposite of that. This is, in my head anyway, I just want to kind of talk about how much a fan I am of everything Star Wars, how much I love this game, though it can be difficult to at times, and how much I think we would do better as a community by being positive about all the things that are happening right now, especially whilst we're small. And by doing that, I think we can encourage the growth of the game. And hopefully that will lead to bigger and better things. And who knows, maybe that will result in the change that you want to see. Thanks for watching. I've been Radiant Prime. I hope you come back.